From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now!
I'm here today because the time has come for common sense, comprehensive immigration reform. The time is now.
As President Obama backs an immigration plan that includes a path to citizenship for some of the country's 11 million undocumented residents, deportations continue at record levels. We'll go to Arizona, where one family was almost torn apart because of a 3-year-old traffic violation.
Monday morning, when me and my sisters were going to school, my dad was outside, and when I was going to go with him to open the car, these guys came and they got him and they arrested him.
This night, 11-year-old Jose Arma was reunited with his father, who was detained 2 weeks ago and almost deported to Guatemala. Both father and son will join us today from Phoenix. Then redemption.
I'm not against the rich. I'm against injustice, greed and injustice. That's what I'm against. There are more people here than ever before. They're all over the place. All over the place, trying to make a dollar on that, you know? This is like, everybody's down on their luck, man, just about, you know?
A short documentary about New Yorkers who survived by redeeming bottles and cans from curbs is up for an Academy Award. We'll speak with the filmmakers, John Alpert and Matt O'Neill. All that and more coming up. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The Senate took up President Obama's proposals to reform the nation's gun control laws with a high-profile Senate Judiciary hearing Wednesday. In a surprise unannounced appearance, Gabrielle Giffords, the former Arizona Congressmember, badly wounded in the Tucson shooting rampage 2 years ago, urged lawmakers to back gun control.
This is an important conversation for our children, for our communities, for Democrats and Republicans. Speaking is difficult, but I need to say something important. Violence is a big problem. Too many children are dying. Too many children. We must do something. It will be hard, but the time is now. You must act. Be bold, be courageous. Americans are counting on you. Thank you.
Appearing alongside former Congressmember Giffords, who was shot in the head, was her husband, the former astronaut Mark Kelly. Kelly said he and Giffords represent the millions of U.S. gun owners who support new restrictions in the aftermath of the Sandy Hook massacre.
We're both gun owners, and we take that right and the responsibilities that come with it very seriously. And we watch with horror when the news breaks to yet another tragic shooting. After 20 kids and 6 of their teachers were gunned down in their classrooms at Sandy Hook Elementary, we said, this time must be different. Something needs to be done. We are simply 2 reasonable Americans who have said enough.
Also testifying Wednesday was National Rifle Association head Wayne LaPierre, who's vocally opposed any gun control measures, including the assault weapons ban. LaPierre sparred with Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois over whether tighter background checks could help deter gun violence.
My point is, even if you turn up someone on an instant check that's a mentally ill person or a felon, as long as you let them go, you're not keeping them from getting a gun, and you're not preventing them from getting to their next crime scene.
Mr. LaPierre, that's the point. The criminals won't go to purchase the guns because there'll be a background check. We'll stop them from the original purchase. You missed that point completely. And I think it's basic.
As the hearing on gun control took place, yet another mass shooting was unfolding, this time in Arizona. One person was killed, another 2 people wounded when a gunman opened fire at an office building in Phoenix. The suspect, Arthur Harmon, fled the scene and remains at large. He was reportedly in a legal dispute with the dead victim. The victim's lawyer was left critically wounded. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Hadia Pendleton, a 15-year-old girl who had performed at President Obama's inauguration last week, has been killed in a random shooting. Hadia was with a group of friends when an unknown gunman fired from nearby. She had recently returned from Washington, where she'd performed with her school marching band during the inaugural festivities. The push for reforming gun control comes as President Obama is also seeking an overhaul of the nation's immigration laws. In an interview with the Spanish-language network Univision, Obama said he's confident both efforts can be achieved.
I'm actually optimistic that we can get both done. Both will end up generating some opposition and some strong opposition. There will be passions on both sides, but I'm generally encouraged that the Senate seems to be having a serious conversation about these issues.
Israel's carried out a bombing inside Syria, killing 2 people. The Syrian government says Israeli fighter jets entered Syrian airspace at dawn Wednesday and launched strikes. The U.S. government has alleged Israel was hitting a convoy carrying weapons for Hezbollah in Lebanon, but Syria says the target was in fact a military research site near Damascus. It was the first known Israeli attack inside Syrian territory since 2007, when Israeli warplanes bombed a military site in eastern Syria. The Israeli attack comes amidst unrelenting violence in the fight between the regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and rebels seeking his ouster. But in a sign of a potential diplomatic opening, the head of Syria's main opposition group, Moaz al-Khatib, said Wednesday he's prepared to hold talks with Assad's representatives outside Syria if the government releases tens of thousands of prisoners. Al-Khatib's offer marked an apparent softening of a previously held position ruling out any talks with Assad. Speaking during a visit to Kuwait, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon urged both sides to stop the fighting in Syria.
I urge again to members of the Security Council to feel the sense of responsibility to humanity and history. We cannot go like this way. But what is more important fact is that primary responsibility rests with the Syrian government, the President Assad. He should listen to the voices and cries of so many people.
A court in the Netherlands has ruled the oil giant Shell is at least partially responsible for environmental damage from oil leaks in the Niger Delta. On Wednesday, a Dutch court ruled Shell must pay compensation to a Nigerian farmer whose land was contaminated by oil pollution from Shell's operations. The ruling was mixed, however, as the court also threw out 4 other complaints. Despite the dismissals, Nigerian human rights lawyer and activist Ebun Adigbarua said the ruling establishes a precedent to hold Shell accountable.
I'm glad that for the first time, at least the agitation of our people has been confirmed that Shell is not a friendly organization and that it needed to be held accountable by its own people for the crimes committed against the poor of Nigeria. So it's quite commendable.
At least 2 people have died in a burst of extreme weather spanning 4 states. Tornadoes were reported in Mississippi, Georgia, Indiana, and Tennessee Wednesday, a freak occurrence for the month of January. The storms erupted after a cold front from the Arctic region clashed with warm air from the Gulf of Mexico. And Massachusetts Democrat John Kerry bid farewell to the Senate Wednesday following his confirmation as the next Secretary of State. Kerry will formally replace Hillary Clinton Friday. Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick has tapped William Cohen as Kerry's temporary replacement until a special election is held in June. With Cohen's appointment, the Senate will have 2 African-American members for the first time ever. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Juan Gonzalez. Welcome to all of our listeners and viewers around the country.
Thanks so much for watching this report from Democracy Now!, your daily independent global news hour. We don't accept advertising or corporate funding, but rather rely on donations from viewers like you. Please make your contribution by visiting democracynow.org. We need your support today to keep bringing you this hard-hitting, in-depth reporting.